Hi, folks. This is Mountain Man coming to you from parts unknown. Ha ha. How's everybody doing here this evening? Anyway, I decided to go live tonight. I wanted to pontificate a little bit more on illegal warfare campaigns, and they're everywhere. But we're seeing a lot of pushback. Hey, B-Dog, how you doing? Ha ha. Pink hand waving. Yeah. Camperman, how are you doing? I want to thank everybody that's coming to the chats tonight, and I want to thank everybody who watches the show in the after it's been broadcast. Remember, you can click the button there and watch the chats even after the live has gone by. You can see what everybody's got to say. And if you want to be part of the chats or see them live, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, because you never know when I'm going to go live. I never know when I'm going to go live. So how can anybody else know? Hi, Sandy. Tyne, how are you doing? Diane, Melinda. Okay, let's rock and roll, cameraman said. Yeah, sounds good to me. Let's rock and roll. Well, I tell you, it takes a little time for people to get in the chats. And hi, Robin, how are you doing? Hi, Donna. Nice to see you all. But it's all this stuff going on with Pride Month. And we see a lot of pushback. But, it's all tied into that illegal warfare campaign with an S on the end, plural. One of them is the incorporation of this new religion that they're pushing. And they do it so one-sided, except to do some commentary on how the people that are involved in that point of view are marginalized and bullied and everything like that. But they don't leave out thousands of people who are really pushing back. Now, most of the people that come into this forum here are aware of a lot of things that are going on. But the average person who doesn't get into trying to find out what's going on or what's the latest or what are they going to do to Mr. T, they just go to work and come home, get their mind infected with regular news, and then get up in the morning, do the same thing all day long. And the regular news doesn't put out stuff like how precipitous the drop of Bud Light, for instance. How, what's that coffee company I keep talking about? Wants to sell the whipped cream on top and sprinkles and frappes and all that. That they're taking all their pride stuff down. Even Chick-fil-A, they're backing off. They gave a nod to the movement, which I thought was, very disappointing. But you also had the CEO of Chick-fil-A shining someone's shoes during the BLM movement. Now, hadn't that dried up and blown away once everybody found out what a fraud that was? So let me see who else coming. Hi, Isla. Diane, how you doing? As always, how are you? Sharon. Debbie, how are you doing? Andrew. Angel. Starbucks, that's right, Debbie. I keep saying her name, but I've never been in one, never cared to. I always thought it was a bunch of nerds hanging out there, acting important, sitting around on free Wi-Fi like they're doing something, good for the world. But anyway, how many of you heard there was 2 pushbacks at Dodger Stadium today? If you all heard about both of them, put a 5x5. If you heard about only one of them, one gathering of people, put a 4x4. If you hadn't heard of anything going on, Dodger Stadium, put a bunch of zeros in. But to me, it's big news because a couple of days ago, one of the players gave an interview and made a strong comment about how he did not appreciate these whatever of perpetual indulgence, these men dressing up like nuns and mocking Jesus. So there prior to this, there has been stuff going bubbling on, but nobody's talked about the fact, Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence, that I talked about 5 days ago, I think it was, that one of these people that head up that chapter of drag, whatever, works for the board of the LA Dodgers. So that hadn't gotten out into general knowledge. But let me see, we've got, a lot of people hadn't heard of none of the protests. Yeah, right here in California. You heard about both of them or just one, Diane? Hi, Rubber Toe. Hi, Nikki. So we got Sharon, Robin with zeros, and Wanda with zeros. B-Dog heard of one. Well, there were thousands that were there, a large crowd. And if I do a picture show, I'll play a clip of it, where people were gathered and praying in protest, and they had a bishop there that was speaking. And I said, gee, that's great. So I got a clip of, it was about 25 seconds of everybody panning. The camera was panning the crowd. It was a large crowd, easily over 1,000 in my estimation. So I went in my studio. I was doing clips and editing and stuff like that. And then I went back and checked Truth Social again. Well, there's a clip that was put up about, maybe a half hour ago, which is about 3 hours. If you're on the East Coast, it's 3 hours backwards. All right. And if you're in the middle of the country, figure if you're mountain time or central time, or whatever, it's between an hour, you know the time difference. And so Washington time, I call Eastern Standard Time. So Washington time would be about 9 o'clock, this 9:15. So about 6:30 over in California, 6:15, there were thousands of people marching. I mean, the street was full. And they all had homemade signs, and they were all chanting, "Leave our children alone." They weren't nasty, but they weren't exactly a prayer group like the first group that showed up today. So, and the bishop was speaking, and there was a number of bishops that put out video condemnation of the mockery of the church and of Christ. So prior to this, so there's something bubbling down there right now. Are you going to see a bit of it, one little bit of it on the news? And I wonder if the local channels are going to cover that. So let me see who else is. Yeah. Two of them, that's right, Diane, you heard of both of them. Well, the one they're rocking and rolling right now. So the first one was, you could tell affiliated church groups, and they prepared statements by speakers, and they had group prayer, and stuff like that. The second group comes a little more livelier. Andrew was working all day, but I'm wondering if it's going to be put on the news, other than having to tune in some old man like me to find this stuff out. The people are crying out and nobody's listening, in other words. So we have to do like the 3 words Mr. T says, money does talk. So these companies, even if they're trying to mend fences, like the coffee company, Anheuser-Busch, Cracker Barrel, Chick-fil-A, they still need to get a message till it hurts so it doesn't go away. I remember a friend of mine, he was up in his age, probably 70 years old, and he had some nephews over that were pretty young, like 11, 12 years old, and they spent the night at their uncle's house, and they were pulling pranks and, being a pain in the butt, putting shaving cream, places you open the cabinet up and shaving cream, so, stupid stuff like that. And the old man got a hold of one of them and started cracking his rear end, had him by the scruff of the neck. And the boy hollered out, "Ow, that hurts." And the old man told him, "It's supposed to hurt." So that's what we've got to do with these companies. And needless to say, there wasn't any more shaving cream popping up in that house that night. But anyway, yeah, they can't just say, "Oops, I'm sorry," because I'll go back to Joe Camel. They outlawed cigarette companies having Joe Camel because they said it was there to influence kids. And that's what this whole movement, this whole religion, I'll call it, is about influencing young ones. So I'm making a list, checking it twice. Hi, Linda, how you doing? Sherry, how you doing? I'm making a list, checking it twice. And hey, I've called companies and, hi, Roy. Larry, how you doing? More people on the field than in the stadium. That's right, Roy. If Dodgers don't get their act together, they won't have anyone show up for the summer games. Well, I tell you, I would not. Hi, Marla, how are you? You got coffee cup bookends, I see. Yes, hit the like button. Thank you. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Nikki, for telling everybody. Hi, Janice. How you doing? If I missed anybody, please forgive me. So no, we gotta make this a summer of broke for these companies. And if they make it through and make the proper changes, then we can go back to business, but not business as usual. Okay, we realize that now. There's a difference. That's right, Andrew, that's right. They don't care what Biden does. He gets away with everything. But that's what it takes. Peaceful banging of pots and pans and rattling their cages in a peaceful way. So I tell you, there was a story. Let me see if I can pull that up. It was Diamond Silk put it out. And there's a YouTube video that goes with it, and I might record that and play it on my next live. But there was this individual. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, did you know they tore down a theme park? Disney tore down a theme park in Orlando. Well, one of the theme parks in Orlando that's around Disney is totally wiped out. I'll get into that in a minute too. And it raises my antennas. They tore down a major theme park. Let me see if I can find this article. Okay. prominent trans activist. Prominent trans activist sentenced to life in prison for the most heinous crime, most depraved crime judge has ever seen. Now, this person transitioned back in 1999. And like I say, I'll get a clip of the video next time I go live with a picture show. And the school told him, or the college or whatever, told him, look, yeah, you come on back, but just don't be talking to students about your bedroom preferences or your transition, right? Excuse me while I get a sip of my coffee. Well, that didn't work because this is an activist now, you understand? So this person, this man, went on leave, and I don't know to what extent, might be like Caitlyn Jenner and, have the whistles but keeps their bells, I don't know. So anyway, they put him on leave, or her, him, her, they, them, whatever, and kept paying him, but this person sued, won $150,000. And that started the ball rolling, and since then became a trans activist. Well, anyway, the person's name now is Dana Rivers, a longtime transgender activist, was sentenced to life in prison Wednesday for the 2016 murder of a lesbian couple and their adopted son. Rivers, formerly known as David Warfield, garnered international fame in 1999 for suing Center Unified School District in Sacramento and winning a $150,000 settlement after being fired for talking to students about transitioning genders. So he was in recruitment mode, and that's what got him fired. So 16 years later, or 17, this person commits these murders. They're just now being sentenced 7 years. You say to yourself, what, they get away with it for a long time? Did they hide? How'd they get away with that? Well, Rivers attacked two women, ages 56 and 57, in their bed as they slept, shooting both women and their 19-year-old son before stabbing one of the women 47 times and setting their garage on fire. Wow, setting the garage on fire, and plus all that mayhem, shooting and stabbing. Quote, this is the most depraved crime I've ever handled in the criminal justice system in 33 years. Frankly, you deserve to spend the rest of your life in prison, Judge Scott Patton said in a Wednesday court hearing, according to Mercury News. Rivers was arrested. Now get this, folks. We're just now sentencing this person. Rivers was arrested November 11th, 2016, on the day of the murders, while covered in blood, leaving the victim's home, according to the report. We've never heard a word of this. Never, and even today, don't have any reports on how the trial was going, what the defense was, what the circumstances of the case was. Why would he or she shoot the 19-year-old quote son, adopted son? Now, can you imagine that? Being adopted? Well, anyway. I've always said that, gay people, they get this between them and God, and they need to work things out. I have a problem when they interfere with child development. So no, I do not approve of two women adopting somebody else's child. Okay. I know there'll be people who disagree strongly with me. A friend of mine I talked about in the past who helped start Hulu. One of the reasons he doesn't speak to me anymore is because I expressed that opinion. I'll tell you guys that story one day. But can you imagine that? And what was the dynamics of the case? Was this person, how long were they friends with this quote family? Okay. What was the issue that caused this type of violence? Did this person who may have made the transition partially like Caitlyn Jenner, keeping the what necessaries, I'll say, in the private area. But anyway, did they want to try to have a relationship with that 19-year-old? And how? I mean, we don't know. This Kyle Rittenhouse is all over the place. Kyle Rittenhouse. And he was in self-defense. One person lost her life. And two. And this is three people. They were shot in bed. And then, hey, it should have been on the news. This is a sign of societal sickness. And I'm sure there's many other cases where they resort to violence. But anyway, the article went, some of Rivers' activism involved pressuring women's only events to include male participants. Rivers participated in a pressure campaign against Michigan Women's Music Festival, MishFest, in an attempt to force the group, which had a woman-born, woman-only policy, WOMYN, okay, to admit him entry. He's a male who identifies as a woman, had befriended one of the female victims through an all-women's motorcycle club. So beyond that, there's very little to say what the dynamics were, what the defense was, or anything. So we've got a 7-year-old case that's just now having a person be sentenced, and everybody's been kept in the dark about it. Kicking Bird, how you doing? How you doing, Cliff? Gary, how you doing? So now this person was a pioneer in getting transgendered females or males or whatever into women's clubs and women's sports. Was a very early person who got involved, was suing to be able to discuss these types of things back in 1999, 24 years ago. Okay, so it's a pioneer, and we don't hear about it. Well, I tell you, it's more like shame month to me. Forget about Pride Month. And part of these illegal operations against the American people is hiding information, not just putting out false information, but ignoring salient and pertinent information, material facts that people need to know before they throw their support or their ignoring of an issue. I don't care what they want to do. It's a free country. Before they developed that idea, they should have all the information. And I could tell you what, if it was a conservative that did that, espoused conservative views and did that, we'd have heard every minute. We'd been watching films of the trial, and there would be in-depth coverage of it. But nothing, nobody hears anything. And you hear about it from some obscure posts. And the only way I found out about it was I saw Diamond and Silk post a truth about the article. And I went to that article. So it shows you how the media is complicit in this cultural vandalism, this assault on our culture. My goodness, my stuff's popping up slow, but anyway. Let's see. Yeah, the Diane, the church got hit by lightning. He said God was gay, actually, Diane, and the church was struck by lightning and burned down. You don't hear that in the news either. Would you hear on the news platforms we go to, but you don't hear it on the other ones? So anyway, that. No, they're part and parcel. They're party to it. They're party to it. You got people like Anderson Scooper. He was recruited years ago, and that's why I said they began in the late '90s, early 2000s, focusing their hiring. Some of them unsuspecting, but they were members of the gay community. And I've gone over them. Then they wrap around gay all this other stuff. The bisexual, transsexual, and heap it all together where they feel like they have to defend and promote transgenderism to protect their own lifestyle. And it's a canard. It's false. And then they started tying that alphabet community in with BLM. So trying to do a coalition of groups of disaffected people. And all the while trying to recruit members by getting children to doubt the validity of their what I call true gender. You got transgenders and you got true genders. I identify as a true gender. So it's what's good for the goose is good for the gander. And I don't know anything in between. Pappy Two Bears, how you doing? Hi, Larry. So, yeah, that's interesting. And the next question is, where is this individual going to spend? Where are they going to go to prison? Are they going to get put in an all-female prison? They're not going to talk very much about that. But I tell you, hey, whatever chromosome, I mean, that's got to be put in the federal law. I mean, we can't have this continuing where female inmates get impregnated, abused, the RAPE word, okay? We can't have that. And if we have to have some kind of facility similar to where they have criminally insane people, they have white collar jails for people who are nonviolent, if they have to have a type of prison where they can all be in a pile somewhere, I don't know, but that person should never get out from behind bars ever again, but cannot be put in a position where they can commit more violence against people who are by nature weaker than they are. And that fact that they chose to do whatever they did to their body as a grown individual. Well, when you commit a crime, you need to go to a prison that matches your chromosomes. So anyway, there was a report out that $10 million mysteriously appeared on Joe Biden's tax return. I didn't know that you could do that. You could go back and 8 years later, and what was that? 2007? No, six years. 2017. You go back 6 or 7 years, and I forgot to put this 10 million on. Did you all hear about that? 10 million bucks all of a sudden appeared on his 2017 tax returns. Joe said, "Where's the money?" "Oh, well, we found the money." Okay, or somebody made you put it on there. So we'll keep an eye on that developing story. And did you all know that Donald Trump was denied a call-in to Fox News after his indictment? Breaking: Fox News denied Trump's request to call in during 8 p.m. hour after the arraignment. The request was denied by Fox News. So they pulled Rachel Maddow, even before Rachel Maddow pulled her Rachel Maddow. So, yeah. Put them on the list with Chick-fil-A and all the other ones that are playing patty cake. Mike Davis, I've met him in the past. Mike Davis has put out truths saying, "This is what I will do when I become Donald Trump's attorney general." So he's saying he's going to be the attorney general in this upcoming administration. So I tend to listen to what he puts out. So he made put out a post that said, "Summary of Biden's indictment of Trump. Trump had his presidential records. They're really bad for Biden and many other Democrats. Trump fought with Biden's librarians and other bureaucrats over library rules. Biden raided Trump. Biden wants Trump to die in prison. The end." So that was Reid Truth by DJT. Tom Fitton, you say, Roy, is the man for what job? Being a prosecutor? I don't know if he even has a law degree. And I got this put out by RTV. Many J6 individuals have been convicted and sentenced to prison, tortured, and illegally detained for 2+ years based on the capital letters accusation of what they were capital letters thinking, i.e. intent, not for any clear crimes they committed. Now the enemy is attacking Trump with the same vague tactic. The "this is what you were thinking" tactic. Be aware of this. So they are actually promoting the notion of a thought crime. We think we know what you were thinking. Extremely dangerous. And if people think, well, that's an overreaction. Okay, it is. Let me remind that leader of the Proud Boys. The judge said to him as sentencing, you're very intelligent. You use logic. You're a good speaker. That makes you a dangerous man. And gave him a harsh penalty because he was logical and a good communicator. Oh, Gary, I want to thank you for helping me out last night. I was just ending the live stream when I got the notification. I already ended it. Thank you, Gary, for buying me a coffee. Boom, ha, bang, pow. So that happened to me a couple times. Right when I end the live stream, I get a notification. And I have to make sure I let people know. I appreciate it very much. I got a link in the description. Anybody wants to help the channel out? The viewer-supported and creator-supported channel only. Sean Hannity put out a quote from Comer, which has been, who has been really after Chris Wray and the FBI. I mean, he's been bird dogging, and he must really be a straight-up guy, because if they had anything to go after him on, and this is another thing that makes me believe that there's some military involvement, because these people don't play around. They go after people's family members, staff members. They make stuff up, or they set people up before they even know who they're dealing with. Get them all drunked up at a party. You guys know the game. But Comer is surviving it pretty good. I keep my fingers crossed for him. Comer says, quote, you have the liberal media like MSNBC with their low IQ audience that are sitting there and they're being told bad things about me and members of the oversight committee because we have the audacity to investigate. So we're having to go against a hostile media, a media that's turned a blind eye. A blind eye. The power to ignore, omitting material facts, and being selective and magnifying a message. An illegal warfare campaign. And E.T.'s finger, how you doing? Hunter had Secret Service protection today. Oh, did he really? And he went to court. Also, he has to be at each meeting held at court. I don't know if that's unusual for a well, no, he's supposed to have a Secret Service protection because immediate family members of an acting president get that protection. They were complaining about that for Trump's kids. Okay, now it's not an issue. Okay, for Hunter. Thank you, Gary. I appreciate it, buddy. Back at you. Thanks a lot, buddy. You make it a lot easier to do these broadcasts. Thanks to Kat. How you doing? So let's keep our fingers crossed for people like Comer, because you guys, I'm sure, have heard about the whistleblower that turned up unalived. And I said, oh my gosh, is that the one that's gone missing? And that's a man, right? Well, this was a female, okay, whistleblower. And we don't know or maybe some of you may have heard from a reliable source, what actually caused this person to not be with us anymore. But I haven't heard any details. I just heard. Now, see, that is sending a chill. And that's letting people know how dangerous these people are. And you didn't have Chris Wray come out and say, we can't guarantee whistleblower safety for nothing. He didn't come out and say that for nothing, because I feel Chris Wray is corralling this bunch. He's corralling. We were told patriots have been put in trusted places, key places. And I believe Ray's one of them. And he put the word out. And now we have somebody that has lost their life. One said, what's a good cell phone provider? I need a new one. I'll tell you what. Don't go to, what is that? I can't think of it. They're always trying to steal mine. They're trying to get my for some reason I confuse them with TikTok. But anyway, Boost, BOOST, Boost Mobile would be the best one, unless you have a Verizon phone that is unlocked. There's a company that's run by some Saudis that I wanted to check out that gives you a whole lot of data. But if you don't have it's called USA Plan or US Plan, something like that. But if you don't have a Verizon phone that's unlocked, go with Boost Mobile. Who's expensive? Let me see. AT&T. No, I'm not too crazy about AT&T. But your coverage may be better where you are. Where I'm at, you don't got a whole lot of choices. But take a look at Boost. They've in 6 years, I've not had one problem with them. As far as where I feel they're messing with me or anything like that. Mr. T on Twitter tomorrow, B-Dog says. And Cameraman said cricket. Yeah, I haven't thought about that in a while. Since then, there you go. Boost, 45-month, unlimited everything. Well, you got a little cheaper deal than I got. So I'm seeing what everybody's. Tennessee, how are you doing? I'm doing good. Yes, Chris Wray is a double agent. He's a plant. He's a marker. When the time comes, he can get access to everything, being the director, and he can play dumb, and they'll think, oh, Ray's on our side. They could even connive with him, and they don't even know he's taking notes, or they are lying to him, and he knows they're lying, but he's just passing it on and building a case. And of course, that would be a very dangerous, difficult game to play. But I made a screenshot of where he was making his money. He was working for a company he was with a law firm, That's right. I got it somewhere in my phone. Somebody asked where he was making $8 million a year. He was working for a law firm. He dropped that when Trump turned down Mueller and called Ray in, and Ray dropped an $8 million a year gig at a law firm. And I've said in the past, you don't do that for nothing. A patriot does that. So the rest of them, as we know, are all about money. Now, here's something Jack Posobiec put out, the post-millennial. And I've talked about Penn State before, how they got busted, and we didn't hear very much out of it at all. The Epic Times is a story about professors being arrested because they were in possession of so-called fetuses for experimental purposes, that the age of the fetus exceeded gestation by many, many months. So in other words, they were experimenting on human lives, living babies. Well, so we haven't heard much out of that, but we get another story from Penn State. Penn State professor arrested for having S3X with his dog. Matt Sukas, I'm looking at a picture of him right here, and I'll put his picture up next time I do a live show. Was a regular contributor to the left-wing PAC Act Blue, donating over $1,000 between 2010 through 2020, and he was a Clinton donor. And remember what the Saudi said. I said it 2 shows in a row, or 3, I'll say it again. The Saudi said, the leaders in the West, next thing you know, they will be doing things with animals, and that the leaders of the West are grunting in anticipation of passing laws allowing that. So here you get some big shot at Penn State. Now, Judicial Watch put out a statement that Mr. T retruthed. And Mr. T said indictment must be immediately withdrawn by the Injustice Department with an apology. And someone mentioned earlier Tom Fitton. So you got Judicial Watch bringing up the stuff we know, but a lot of normies don't. That the Presidential Records Act allows the president to decide what records to return and what records to keep at the end of his presidency, and the National Archives and Records Administration can't do anything about it. I know because I'm the lawyer who lost the Clinton socks drawer case. Senior attorney Michael Beckshaw said. So, yeah, there's the attorney. Now, 2 things about that. When you're talking to a normie, one is that what Trump had with him are copies. They are not what's called the primary document. It's not like he's hiding secret things from other people. Copies exist at other departments. Okay, and other individuals have them. They just don't want Trump to have the copies. Okay, so no, he's not doing like Sandy Berger was doing, who was Clinton's aide, who went in NARA and ripped pages out to destroy them, stuffed him in his pants, and tried to get out of the National Archives. And there was evidence that he was successful in prior visits. So he destroyed things that are gone.
out of the National Archives, never to be retrieved. He paid a fine, I think, of $50,000, and that was the end of that. But stuff was destroyed. Trump isn't hiding or destroying anything. He has copies of primary documents, and the primary documents, especially anything to do with the defense of this country or with nuclear codes, is with the U.S. military. So that's the first thing to tell somebody who wants to say Trump is putting the country in danger. He's got copies, and they were guarded by the Secret Service. So that puts an end to that. The next thing is the Sox case was decided by Amy Coney Barrett. Amy Coney Barrett is the one who said Clinton could only just think about something, and that declassified it. He had tapes in his sock drawer. He had all kinds of papers all over hell's half acre. As we know, Barack Obama has too. And I'll get back to Barack Obama in a minute, but Amy Coney Barrett Jackson is the same judge who tortured Paul Manafort, 70-some-year-old man, put him in solitary confinement, allowed evidence to come in on a 10-year-old case that was only revived to hurt Trump, allowed evidence to come in about an ostrich feather jacket that was not germane to anything but prejudicial. She's also the judge that put a gag order on Roger Stone, okay, and threatened to jail him. So, yeah, she's a Trump hater, but she already made the decisions about Clinton. But anyway, Barack Obama, I meant to bring this up last night, still had not turned a clump of dirt as far as building his library. That's a good question for a normie. How long's he been out? He's been out of office for 6 years, 6.5 years. No presidents had to wait 6 years to have a library. I talked last year that he'd been all this time and was just now getting permits to excavate, to put a foundation in. Apparently, that hasn't even been granted. So what does that tell you? And where is he keeping his personal mementos and classified documents he thought about declassifying and all? He doesn't even have a library. He hadn't even turned over a clump of dirt. Somebody's not letting him build a library. That's what's going on. So, let me see. Just looking through the chats. Yeah, Penn State's where Biden had classified records, but it's also where they were. I'll have to do a story on that. The bag of cells, several bags of cells, human experimentation. I don't care how you slice it, but they're not going to report on it. We're going to have to report on it. So I'm seeing. Okay, you guys talk about banks. Yeah, credit unions, they say, is the way to go. I got some hometown bank I've been with for 30 some years. I'm not changing anything. Marla's got hail in Texas. That's right, Wanda. There's somebody stopping him from building this goofy little library that looks like A lot of people say it looks like something out of the Middle East. Anyway, Donald Trump put out, why would Devin Archer, quote, flip on Joe and Hunter Biden when the DOJ and the FBI don't want him to flip? They're exerting no pressure on him, only on Republicans. He will flip in 2024 when I am president. There must be real accountability for crimes, the likes of which our country has never seen before. So that's come out by Donald Trump. So he also put out something about Anna Paulina Luna. We were talking about that. So she didn't get the House to vote for fining him $16 million. And some of the points people brought up that was unprecedented, really, for the House to do that, even though it would be fining the campaign of Adam Schiff and not the individual person. That's more like taking a court action, and where Schiff wouldn't have, a trial, wouldn't have things that were guaranteed under the Constitution. So where's the legality of being able to take $16 million from any citizen without a formal accusation or a trial or the ability to defend yourself? You just vote away $16 million. I can see that argument. No, you don't. You start that ball rolling, see what'll happen. Okay. So now they're moving for the censure of him, and that can lead to a criminal referral. So Donald Trump said Anna Paulina Luna is a capital letters star. She never gives up, especially in holding total lowlifes like Adam Shifty Schiff responsible for their lies, deceit, deception, and actually putting our country at great risk, for which he should be imprisoned. He is a leaker and a scoundrel, and any Republican voting against his capital letters censure or worse should immediately be primaried. There are plenty of great candidates out there. So John Solomon wrote a article, Shifty Schiff to get the shaft. GOP looks to censure. Now, do you all remember the last House member? Well, the last House member I remember being censured. Do you all remember anybody getting censured? I do. I don't know what ever happened to him. He was in his 80s, but boy, he was a typical crooked Democrat mafia type. Who do you all remember who got censured? Called down on the House floor to be dressed down supposedly by Nancy Pelosi and televised. Shame on you. We're censoring you. A lot of finger wagging, but nothing else after that. No, Harry Reid didn't get censored. It is a slap on the wrist. It was for this person, but he was a Democrat that got censured by a Democrat-controlled House. If you get censured, it can lead to other things. It can lead to, like I said, a criminal referral. Hi, Henri. How are you? I'll tell you who it was. Do you all remember somebody named Charlie Rangel? Charles Rangel. Do y'all remember that character, Charlie Rangel? I have to look up and see whatever happened to him. Not that anybody put up the real story anyway. But that's the last one I remember.
Interesting tidbits from members. Yep. So anyway, we'll see what's going on. Trump putting on serious pressure. Now, I'm going to talk about this. I'm seeing a lot of these videos come out, and I watched this one, but I didn't, about UFOs. It says, President to reveal alien life exists. It came out today. President to reveal aliens and UFOs this summer. Here's why. It's got a picture of Biden and some kind of creepy picture of an alien. Now, President to reveal aliens exist. Right there, that tells you what you need to know. You don't need to get in arguments about nothing. If Biden says there's aliens, it's a flipping lie, okay? It's just that simple. Trying to save his backside, a desperation move. So, no, I don't believe it. And the 17th letter was asked about that possibility, and the response was no. Followed up with the question, how close is the nearest star? And I know people get into wormholes, black holes, time dimensions. Okay, I'm not getting into that. How far away is the nearest star is what the 17th letter asked. And let me tell you what it is. Proxima Centauri, the closest star to our own, is over 4 light years away. 4 light years. 4.5 light years. How far is a light year? How many miles is a light year? 1 light year is equal to 6 trillion miles. 6 trillion miles. So it's roughly, well, be over 27 trillion miles away to the nearest star. And they break it down into kilometers, feet, tell you how long it takes to travel 1 light year. That's a long way away. That's right. Interesting tidbits. 1 year travel at the speed of light. A beam of light travels for a year. It goes 6 trillion miles, the fastest known element in the universe. Yeah, Gary, I had their pictures up last night in last night's broadcast. I got it on the thumbnail on last night's broadcast. Plus, I put the picture up. If you want to go back and get a screenshot, you can identify every one of them. I didn't see any from Alaska, though. But I went over Alaska Senator Ted Stevens in past broadcasts. I'm going to talk more about that because I got other things on plane crashes and what happens to people that don't toe the line. But that's going to come to an end. Going to come to an end, but we still got this work to do that we're doing right now. Information dissemination operation. I heard another creator that is very famous as far as YouTubes go. Almost repeated that slogan verbatim that I just said, information dissemination operation. But anyway, I discussed I'm over my hour on this platform, StreamYard, but I discussed a
what do you call it? A Disney theme park, or down in Orlando where Disney is located, there was a famous theme park that got torn down, and there's nothing left of it. Millions of people have been there, and I know nobody's heard of it. But I'll go a little bit over, be able to tell you guys this story. Hi, Cosette. Hi, Janice. Loki Las. Is that how you say it? That's right. It'd take a long time to get to the nearest star. So, and especially the main thing is if you got Joe Biden telling you that they're out there, they're not. So, and remember when they projected that image of Queen Elizabeth and Prince Charles over, I don't know how many miles people in the UK could see this portrait in the sky, the nighttime sky of Queen Elizabeth and Prince Charles with laser lights. They made this hologram that people could see for miles and miles and miles around. Just think what they'll do to make people think there's a fake invasion to save their own skins, right? So anyway, this only mounds of rock and rubble remain where Orlando theme park stood for decades. Mounds of rock and rubble are all that remains of a once vibrant and bustling Orlando theme park. And I won't read it verbatim, but it goes into how Walt Disney 60 years ago built his second family theme park resort, and how a lot of other theme parks followed close behind. Okay, so this theme park that is now rubble, but they're talking about what came in the same area: Universal Studios, Legoland Resort, SeaWorld Orlando, and many others populate the Orlando area. And one did something none of the other parks could. They did a biblical themed amusement park. Rather than offering visitors experience spent on magic, movies, and mirrors and mayhem, minions and mayhem, like its counterpart, the Holy Land experience in Orlando offered an experience with a message, one of hope. For 20 years, the Holy Land Experience theme park, located off of I-4, visible from the interstate, welcomed guests through its gates to experience several themed lands, each one inspired by events chronicled in the Bible. So they built this huge coliseum that held 2,000 people, and they had a lot of different rides and let's see. The Bible-themed family park features reenactments of Jesus' resurrection, a scale miniature of the model of the city of Jerusalem. In the first century, the Scriptorium Museum would showcase Van Kampen collection of biblical artifacts, including ancient Bible scrolls, manuscripts, and early printed editions of the Bible, as well as a replica of the Gutenberg printing press. The Holy Land experience featured an animatronic likeness of the 14th century Bible translator John Wycliffe. In 2007, the park was bought by Trinity Broadcasting, and they began renovating the park and included the construction of a Church of All Nations auditorium, a state-of-the-art theater which gave live theatrical and musical performances and development of the Smile of a Child campaign. In 2021, however, after 14 years under operations under Trinity Broadcasting leadership and 20 years of operations, the 14-acre theme park was sold to Advent Health Services. Advent Health Services. You know why they had to sell? Because the CVID restrictions and reduction in travel because of people mandates and stuff about CVID put a lot of financial pressure. They had to sell out to this what do you call it, medical group. This is so ironic. They have something millions of people have been going to that gets sold out during here it is, TBN sold the property during the COVID pandemic to Advent Health Services, whose mission is to extend the healing ministry of Christ in order to better serve the greater Orlando area with health care. Well, they say they're doing it in the name of God, but they tore down the theater, all the theme parks, all the rides, everything's been pushed over to rubble because they couldn't keep going because of the restrictions and what happened to the economy and the people's ability to travel. So Advent Health Services is saying it's faith-based and that they're going to provide services. So hopefully that's the case. But it would be a shame if a park like that fell to the same type of system that caused it to fall because of the pandemic. Okay, folks? I'm just saying, I got a leery eye on that kind of stuff. And I said I was going to talk about it at the beginning of the broadcast, so I figured I'd go over and talk about it. Let's see. I don't know if if that was boring for you guys or not, or if you even knew that park existed. They said they had millions of people go through it, Bible-themed theatrical performances, recreations of replicas of the Gutenberg press. I'm sure it was a very interesting place to go. Wanda said, been trying to send you some coffee, but it keeps telling me I failed. Can't do it off your tablet? Oh my goodness. You should be able to zip right in there, Wanda. I'm going to take a sip of my coffee right now. You made me think about that. I can tell you this, Wanda. Keep trying, honey. Just mountain man. Your tablet may not have the same banking stuff that your phone would have in it. I guess. I do not know. Marla's going to bed. Have to keep an eye on that Advent Health Services. They may very well have good intentions. Holy cow! Put me a boom in there, Gary. A couple of booms. He got me. Bought me. My goodness, he bought me 10 coffees. Yeah, Gary got through. I appreciate you, Wanda, trying that to help me out. Thank you, Wanda. So I don't know if you all ever heard that, and we see what I'm going to personally keep an eye on Advent Health Services because they may very well provide faith-based medical services. And hey, boy, howdy, isn't that what we need? Not this whatever worship they do now. And I was thinking of the risks that the bishops were taking by going down to Dodger Stadium and also putting out videos, because I bet you they're going to get menaced as far as tax exempt status for speaking their mind about those drag queens showing up at Dodger Stadium. You watch what's going to happen there. They'll pick on the Catholic Church over that, or any other church that tries to speak out, because that's what this 501c3 garbage is about. To muzzle churches. But then you could see churches that, so-called churches like Reverend Al Sharpton and all those, they can get involved and keep their tax exempt status, because they're talking pro Satan, pro. I don't want to say words that get me thrown off. SATN is what I'll say. But the thing opposite from the true gender movement. Thank you, Gary. Thumbs up, bow, and popping a bye. So anyway, yeah, they can say whatever they want, but anybody speaking out against this kind of stuff, they toss that threat of the IRS at them. So I don't know. I don't know about Advent Health Services. That's why I'm not saying anything bad, because if they offer treatment that the Rockefeller Health Services don't want to offer, and I can't say the medicines, you all know them, don't put them in the chats, but if they help people with stuff like that, plus cherish life in all stages and conditions, and they do not perform any termination of pregnancies, okay? Hey, that's a big step in the heart of Florida, in Orlando. Hi, Joy, I'm just wrapping up. So anyway, let me see if I got any stray stories here we can talk about. So let's see, Mr. T, he put out something else too. Oh, I wanted to talk about Mel Gibson's movie coming out. Is going to be, how many of y'all went and saw Passion of the Christ? That was Mel Gibson movie. Passion of the Christ. How many? Put a 5 by 5 if you saw Passion of the Christ, and if it moved you. I mean, emotionally moved you. Pope John Paul. Pope John Paul said, when he was asked about the movie, he said, "It is as it was." Because Mel Gibson included a line. He did the movie in Aramaic. Oh, okay. With subtitles, English subtitles, French, or whichever country is going to be shown in. Whatever country is going to be shown in. And Aramaic, and which is an extinct language. And he included the words. What was controversial when Jesus was before Pontius Pilate, and he had been scourged, it was awful. So the people said, "Let his blood be on our head and the heads of our children." And the Anti-Defamation League got all upset. All kinds of groups got upset and wanted him to take that out. Well, Mel Gibson wouldn't take it out because it's in the Bible. But what he did do was he had the people chant it in Aramaic, but he didn't have it in the subtitles. Okay? So Pope John Paul was asked about whether that should have been included or taken out, edited out. And that's when Pope John Paul says the movie is as it was. So anyway, he's a stickler for accuracy. If you watch the movie Apocalypto that I mentioned months and many months ago, I made movie recommendations for people. Some of my recommendations were Dr. Zhivago, Ashanti. Both of those had Omar Sharif in them. Gone with the Wind, Apocalypto. Those were some of the movies that I highly recommended to people. And Apocalypto, when you watch that, you'll dig your fingers into the couch while you're watching. I mean, he's got a knack. He's got a skill for, and if you've seen the other movies, he's very well known for. But I'm talking about one most people are not familiar with, Apocalypto. That was suppressed. So I encourage you all to get that and see it. But he is coming out with a movie, a documentary that is going to open people's eyes. If you watched Passion of the Christ, your eyes were open. Your heart was aching. You looked at it in a different way. And if you saw Apocalypto, you understand what was happening in this hemisphere, on this continent, not just down where the Aztecs were, but every civilization has had to tussle with human sacrifice. And I said, if you watch Apocalypto, at the end of the movie, you'll see the one thing that pulled this hemisphere out of that kind of behavior. So anyway, I won't give you any spoilers, but watch Apocalypto. And if Mel Gibson puts the same heart and soul into this documentary and puts it out, and if people are looking for it, because it's certainly not going to get promoted by studios, this could waken so many millions of people around the world and will certainly shake this country. It will shake this country up. And I'm sure he's got some ideas in mind, but he's got a quote as saying, it's an open secret in Hollywood. These people have their own religious and spiritual teachings and their own social and moral frameworks. They have their own sacred texts. They are sick, believe me, and they couldn't be more at odds with what America stands for. So that's what Mel Gibson said. They have their own sacred texts, their own moral framework, and that they're sick, believe me. So I'm sure that's been in the works, and I'm looking forward to it coming out. I tell you, I couldn't. The Passion of the Christ was a difficult movie to get through. It was difficult, but it brought you closer to how it was, as Pope John Paul said. Apocalypto, like I said, it will change the way you look. You know, it's not going to be this business of, well, you know, natives in the Americas, they had a papoose on their back and a bundle of corn in their arms, and they were, you know, living in peace. Yeah, okay. Watch Apocalypto. See what you think about that. And what changed. Okay, folks. So anyway, let's see. Oh yeah, you can't help but to get emotion, Gary. And thank you for helping me out this evening. Yeah, the first time I saw it was very moving, very moving. So anyway, folks, well, I appreciate it. You all joining me tonight and spending your precious time with me. I'll try to do a picture show when I get everything together. I don't know when the next broadcast will be. Like I say, if you're not subscribed, you might want to think about subscribing so you'll know when I go live. And you can replay the chats after I go live to see what everybody else is thinking, what they got on their minds. And if you want to participate in the chats, hit the notification bell. So I appreciate you all joining me and spending your precious time with me. I'll be seeing you soon. This is Mountain Man, over and out.